What is going on, you guys? I am coming to you today to talk a little bit more about Battlestar Galactica Starship Battles. So if you haven't heard, Ares Games is bringing you a Battlestar Galactica tabletop game called Starship Battles. They're supposed to kind of unveil it officially at Gen Con, so you'll actually be able to get your first look there. I am going to try and get a review copy as well, so hopefully I can bring you guys some more up close and personal details. Plus, I will be at Gen Con, but I will also be doing a lot of Fantasy Flight stuff. But I'm definitely going to try to bring you guys as much coverage of this game as possible, because if you play games like X-Wing and Armada, you're probably interested in something like this. It's supposed to be very, similar in some regards, so there's no denying that there's going to be comparisons drawn between like this and X-Wing. But the fact that the dials appear to have multiple different pointing directions, you're going to have your actual inertia as well as where your ship is facing. It's going to have that true space kind of feel. It's going to make it very, very fun. And so I reached out to Ares Games and I actually got a couple of questions answered. So I'm going to talk to you today about some of those extra questions. But before we get into that, I do want to remind everybody there is another round of the giveaway going on right now. If you'd like to win an expansion of your choice in the form of a $20 Cool Stuff gift card, it's as simple as becoming a subscriber and leaving a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that, guys. So also make sure you click that bell down there for alerts so you don't miss when I put out new videos, and you might miss when I announce winners as well. So let's talk some more about what we do know about this game. It's going to be a miniatures game in the style of other games like that we've seen before, but this one is going to have some all new aspects. For example, you're going to have your movement. You're going to be able to go one way. You're not going to be able to just stop on a dime and turn around. Very similar to the Battlestar Galactica show, which one of the things people liked about that is the real physics of that, the way the space combat felt more natural, and the same way it kind of would in real life. But they are also going to use elevation as well. You're going to have extra pegs that you can put in there to adjust your height. So there's going to actually be not just an X and a Y axis, but a Z axis as well. It is not going to be just a standalone game, though. This is going to follow the format of having a core set and boosters. So it is going to be similar to other games in that regard. And it also will be priced appropriately with what you have come to expect from games similar to X-Wing. So you figure about $15 or so for a small ship expansion with dial and supporting materials, etc. So as far as price point, you can start planning out. It seems very reasonable, especially for something that's coming pre-painted as well. So definitely, that seems totally reasonable. As far as the game formats, it's going to be single dogfights, but it's also going to have scenario play as well. So it's not just it's not just 100 points versus 100 points duel. They're also going to have scenarios. Now, X-Wing does have some scenarios. Armada doesn't really have as many scenarios on their own, but every game has objectives that kind of build scenarios. So it sounds like they're going to have more like the X-Wing regular dogfights, but also specific objective scenarios that you can play. They also say that this game will support more than 2 players. There is a simultaneous movement system that is going to work well. So if you wanted to do like a 3 to 5 player game or a free-for-all or something like that, that would work great in this game. So that's exciting to me, because I like the idea of being able to play more than 2 players, especially a game that is going to support that. Like X-Wing, you could always make that work. Armada, not so much, because of the fact that everything about Armada is designed for only 2 players, so it's harder to get a 3rd player into Armada, and that's especially useful when you have a group of people show up and you don't have as many people there, or you don't have enough to have everybody pair off evenly. Sometimes you really want a game that's going to support more than 2. And sometimes you want to have fun and do like a big 7-player free-for-all. And so it's nice to know that this game will support something like that. One of the questions I asked was, I had heard that this game was going to support both timelines, like the old Battlestar Galactica and the new. And so one of the questions I asked to Ares Games was, how are you going to make certain determinations? Like, if you're going to support both timelines, for one, could you confirm that? And for 2, how would you know which versions of certain characters to use? For example, like which Starbuck are you going to include? And that's probably one of the most drastic differences because, you know, male versus female. Although other characters were certainly different amongst the series. So the answer is actually pretty surprising, and I like it, is that they're going to have separate releases, separate product releases for each setting. So you're going to have, you know, your original Battlestar Galactica releases as well as your new Battlestar Galactica releases. So you will basically be able to have old Adama, new Adama, old Starbuck, new Starbuck, totally separately. They are going to follow and use the same mechanics and rules system, so if you want, you can actually mix and match them, or you can keep them separate if you prefer. Now, I think this is a great solution, and I think this is probably a solution that can please as many people as possible. I'm sure somebody will probably have a problem with this, but I think this is the most elegant solution that you can do. Have everything, you know, have everything that's out there. And if your group decides, well, you don't want to mix the two different versions of Battlestar Galactica, then that's fine. You can say, all right, so, you know, this weekend we're just playing old school Battlestar Galactica, you know, and then, you know, maybe my group wants to focus on the new Battlestar Galactica, and then your, you know, a third party group wants to mix and match, you know, or something like that. You can totally do that. So I would equate this to the way X-Wing has brought in sequel trilogy ships into X-Wing. And again, I'm going to draw a lot of comparisons to X-Wing because we know so much about X-Wing right now, and there's still a lot we don't know about this. And it's a dogfighting game in space, so there's going to be as many differences as there are, and it looks to me like there's going to be a ton of differences. I think the idea that they have so much in common, it's only natural to draw those comparisons. So we're not going to be able to avoid those comparisons, but you know, you have like the T-70 X-Wings, and they have that different faction. They're interchangeable because you can mix Poe Dameron, you know, and Wedge Antilles and have them fly together if you want. But also in X-Wing, if you wanted to do just a sequel trilogy only, you know, stuff, you can do that, and I think that works. Granted, it didn't really come out that way too much at the start, but they did have the Force Awakens core set, and then some Force Awakens expansions. Now there's enough stuff out that you can go straight up sequel trilogy and still have a lot of diversity. But also you can mix and match. Or if you don't want any sequel trilogy stuff, you can do that as well. And I like the idea of mixing timelines like that and having them both represented and having them separate but also interminglable. I think that's just a great way to go. It also allows you to create some kind of custom matchups. And I guess the next question that I would wonder about is are certain characters that have the same name going to be unique, or could I fly old Starbuck and new Starbuck side by side for like a dream scenario? I think that would be kind of fun, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did allow stuff like this. Although it might be restricted for tournament play, or maybe there'll be specific scenarios to do things like that. That much I think would be a really fun, kind of a fun way to go. Another question I had, I think this is my last question, it was large ships. I had heard that they're going to support like the Galactica, or is this just going to be small ships? So yes, they are going to have large ships. I asked about the Galactica and base stars, but there's also other large ships like the Pegasus or all the civilian ships they have as well. So what they're going to be doing is they are going to eventually release larger models, and they said to be like 12 inches or larger. So that's a pretty good size. That's pretty good size. We're talking like X-Wing epic scale here, which is really nice. It also sounds like that would probably have to be a little bit of a sliding scale because the Galactica would be significantly large. And if you made it actually a true 1-to-1 scale, I haven't done the math, but I imagine that would be very, very expensive. So you probably want to keep them a little bit on a sliding scale just so that it works. But they will be released and they will be fully playable, which is really cool. So it's not just going to be like a set piece, it's going to be something that actually has rules and that you can play. However, those won't be available at release. At release, one of the things they're going to do, though, is they're going to release a playmat. And the playmat is going to actually have a printed version of, you know, a Galactica and a base star on there that you can actually use those for scenario play that involves that. And I imagine it'd be some type of scenario like destroy the flagship, you know, and now you have like almost like a miniature game of Star Wars Armada. So now, as I was drawing comparisons to X-Wing before, in a game like this, it's drawing more like that World War II aircraft carrier style game that Armada definitely represents, and you know, and doing something like that. So you can have the printed model on the playmat that they're going to be coming out with, and you can, so this way that will hold you over until the actual models become available. Plus, you're getting a playmat, and so you play those scenarios. So that's pretty exciting. I'm curious if you guys have any more questions. I can forward them to Aries, or maybe Aries can answer them right here in the thread too if they're watching. But definitely keep the questions coming. I'm really excited to see more of this game as it becomes available. I would love to see some examples of the models beyond the prototype. I'd love to see like when they get production quality models. I think we're still pretty early though, so we're going to have to be patient. Gen Con is coming up, but it's still a few months away. I will be there, so if you're coming to Gen Con, you know, if you see me, definitely say hi. I'm definitely anxious to see this game in action. So this Gen Con is going to be a very, very exciting one. So I'm very excited to see that. Don't forget the round of the giveaway is going on, so don't forget to leave a comment. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and let me know what you think, guys. Don't forget to click that bell for alerts and make sure you are subscribed. Of course, you would have to subscribe in order to click the bell for alerts. But thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.